Hi, welcome to the Career and Academic Planning Enrollment Webinar for 2019. My name is Chris Campbell. I'm an Assistant Director of First Year Programs here in Career and Academic Planning. And there's a few of my colleagues on the line with us today as well to assist you with your enrollment questions at James Madison University. If we could start off with Sarah.
Hi, everyone. My name is Sarah Sunday. I am Director of Orientation, and we are excited to be talking with you about orientation in the enrollment process.
Hi, my name is Erin Hawes. I'm the Associate Registrar with the Office of the Registrar. Welcome.
Again, my name is Chris Campbell. I'm Assistant Director of First Year Programs at Career and Academic Planning.
Hello, I'm Marquise McGee, Associate Director for First Year Programs,
And my name is Chandra Lane. I'm Assistant Director in Career and Academic Planning and also one of the advisors. We're glad you're here.
Hi, everyone. My name is Amy Strite, and I am one of the undeclared advisors in Career and Academic Planning. Welcome.
All right, first off, we're going to start off with Sarah Sunday, our Director of Orientation. She's going to just outline some things to expect when you attend Springboard.
So, like I said, we are so excited that you are all joining the JMU community and know that you've been working through your one book steps. So you all should have received your one book in the mail. And for family members who are watching, you can also follow along in the one book online. In there is a variety of steps that you need to complete in order to make your orientation reservation and declare your major, which will then, once you've done that, allow you to have an enrollment appointment and allow you to enroll in classes. And so make sure that you're following those deadlines. If you have not completed all the steps, that's okay. You can still go ahead and work on them. Just get them done as soon as you can. And if you have any questions, you're always welcome to contact the orientation office via a phone call or an email or through the One Book website. Those One Book steps not only help you enroll in your classes, but they're also going to help you get ready for Summer Springboard. And Summer Springboard is a one-day program that you'll be coming to campus. You'll get a chance to meet your advisor in person and have a chance to connect with them, learn more about academic success, and then also have them re-look at your schedule and just make sure everything is set to go for the fall. You'll also get a chance to meet with your orientation peer advisor, and those are students who are upper class students who are excited to meet you, and they're going to be able to answer your questions, help you get connected with your peers, and just help you better understand campus and help you start getting connected so that you feel comfortable at JMU. And so we have a full day of programs planned from 7:30 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. for you and also for your family members. So there are separate programs that you'll each attend to be able to get information that's needed and understand what it means to be a member of the JMU community. And so we're really excited to welcome you to campus and have a great day planned for you.
Thank you, Sarah. We can move on to Erin Hawes from the Registrar's Office.
Hi, so I want to talk about enrollment. I know it's an exciting time and everyone's really anxious to get in there and start enrolling for classes. Know that your enrollment appointment is not going to be available to you through My Madison until after you complete your orientation reservation. We've seen a lot of questions out there about students seeing August 1st as their enrollment appointment. That's actually our open enrollment appointment later on in the summer. And so now what we're doing is we're adding enrollment appointments to you as you complete those orientation reservations. Enrollment will happen later this week. And so what we have done is we have actually closed enrollment down to all other students here at the university. And so you're the only ones that are going to be able to get in and enroll at this time. And what we've done is we've saved seats just for you, the incoming students. And so we've now released all of those seats as of today. So now you can get in and start looking at your schedule and building a potential schedule. You'll notice with your Prepare for Enrollment modules that there are worksheets that you should follow for your enrollment. And so you're able to use that to build potential schedules. And so what we want you to do is we want you to start going through what's called the schedule planner, which is in My Madison. It's a way to enroll in classes. And what you're able to do is enter the classes that you need. And then there's an algorithm that runs behind the scenes and gives you potential class schedules. The really good thing about schedule planner is you're able to add breaks in there like lunch or practices. So after you create your first schedule, you go through and you import it into your shopping cart and go through the enrollment process within My Madison. Now, one thing that's different at the university with class schedules is that the shopping cart doesn't save your seat. So you have to make sure you go all the way through the enrollment process to get the seat in the class. Now, we know after you complete that first attempt, you may not get all the classes that you want. Some of them may have filled up in the time that you were trying to create your schedule. And so another way to go back and make adjustments to your schedule other than going through the schedule planner is to go through My Madison, because you can also enroll through My Madison. And that's the best way to do one or two classes at a time, because you're able to go through the enrollment process quicker than you can going through the schedule planner. Other features that are within the My Madison enrollment are being able to search for cluster courses within our general education program. So in the schedule planner, you actually have to select a course, where if you go through the My Madison course search, you're able to say, I want a cluster 1 critical thinking course. And you'll learn more about those as you work with your advisor here at JMU. The other thing that's going to be a little bit different this time, rather than your enrollment during the regular semester, fall or spring, is that we are doing a lot of enrollment management behind the scenes. And so we want to make sure our students get the classes they need. So if you're a psychology major, we're going to make sure you get that psychology course that you need for your first semester. So we have created waitlists that are course specific rather than section specific. During the regular term, the waitlist will be section specific, but right now they're going to be course specific. And that's just for us to be able to make sure that if you're a psychology major and you don't have a psychology class, we can get you into a class. And so we work behind the scenes to, if there's not open seats, to work to get more seats or to make adjustments in the classrooms to ensure that we can find you a seat within a course that you need that first semester.
Thank you, Erin. Just want to take a few minutes to talk over some things about advising and selecting classes. The general advising module in module number 1 goes over your academic information as you prepare for enrollment, which will happen later this week. It goes over general education program, the clusters involved, the classes you'll need to take as part of your liberal arts-based education that all students will complete regardless of major. And a majority of first-year students will take a number of classes in a general education program. In addition to selecting classes, you want to make sure that your math placement score exam is done and you have your math placement score in front of you as you enroll in classes. That's in module number 3. Now, some students will need to take a math in the first semester in the fall, but not all students will be required to take a math in their first semester. So some of you might wait until the spring semester. For those of you interested in a degree that has a Bachelor of Arts option, you may want to take the foreign language placement exam. If it's not something you're wishing to pursue when you arrive at James Madison University, you can certainly wait on that. But if it's something you might be thinking of doing, pursuing a foreign language, we strongly encourage you to do that foreign language placement exam to find out what course would be appropriate for you for the fall semester. In addition to that, in module 3 as well, you'll see information on your BA and BS requirements for your degree as you go through the enrollment worksheets, which outline your classes for your first semester and what you might also be interested in the spring semester as well. The BA and BS requirements will be listed on the enrollment worksheet depending on the degree that you've chosen. Your major classes will also be listed on first semester enrollment worksheets. More than likely, you'll be taking 1 or 2 classes related to your major in your first semester, except unless you're an undeclared student, of which, depending on which way you're leaning, your advisor who meet with Springboard will give you some information on which classes you select to keep your options open if you're leaning one way or another towards a certain major. For those of you who have transfer credits or AP credits through testing or dual enrollment credits, in Module 4, we'll give you information on how those credits might transfer to James Madison University. We have guides on how the AP scores will transfer in, and also any students who have chosen to pursue classes at a Virginia Community College school before they've enrolled here at JMU. So right now we'll open ourselves up to questions. For those of you who want to send in a question, you can either send it through the chat feature of this Hangout or to firstyearadvising@jmu.edu. So let's see. So our first question I think we've seen here, let's see, is do I have to turn in my ID picture before the 20th of June? I believe, Sarah, you had answered that question.
Yeah, so it is not a requirement that you have to turn in that photo for your JAC card, but it's really going to help you if you do choose to submit that photo. It's going to help to cut down on the amount of time that you wait in line when you arrive for summer springboard at 7:30 a.m. And then the bonus is that you get to choose the picture that you want on your JAC card. And so, you can feel free and go ahead and take a picture against a white background with an iPhone and submit it. That is perfectly okay. You don't have to submit a professional photograph. So go ahead and, if you want to take that photo, submit it and see if it's accepted, because again, it's going to definitely help minimize your time in line when you come to summer springboard. But if you don't submit it, that is okay too. We will make sure that you get a JAC card photo taken and you get your JAC card at the end of the day.
Excellent, thank you. I think we have another orientation-related program. This one from Jessica. What kinds of programs can we expect to do at Springboard?
Yeah, that's a great question. So at Summer Springboard, you will check in and families and students will have separate check-ins, and then they'll reconnect at University Welcome, where you'll get a chance to hear from administrators, meet the orientation peer advisors, and then there'll be an opportunity following University Welcome to attend a college meeting to learn more about the academic expectations and resources and supports that are available for students. And then students, you'll get a chance to meet your orientation peer advisor and spend time with them, getting to know them, getting to know other people within your major. And new students who are coming to JMU, you'll get a chance to eat in D Hall, which is an incredible all-you-care-to-eat facility, and it's a good tasting of what it'll be like during the school year. And then we have a program that will help you understand the expectations of being a JMU community member called JM Truth. And then following that, you'll have a chance to meet with your academic advisor and meet them in person and learn more about strategies for academic success, recheck that schedule so that you feel really good about the fall class schedule that you have. And then you'll round out your day with OPAs out in the quad talking about what you need to do to prepare for 1787 August orientation, the move-in process, information about when you'll get your roommate and housing assignment. And then at the very end of the day, you will get your JAC card, which is your student ID that shows that you are officially a JMU Duke. And so that's a pretty important moment in the day. And then we have separate programs for families as well. So you'll reconnect with your family at the end of the day because we have specific programs that are similar but tailored to a family's needs as well.
All right, thank you, Sarah. Next question we have is a student interested in computer science. He asks, is it ideal to take mainly gen ed classes for the first semester? Amy, do you want to try that one?
Sure. I would really recommend checking the first semester enrollment worksheets on the second module and really looking at what the department recommends. I believe there are some general education requirements that are suggested, but also there are some classes that they do recommend that are major specific. And so taking a look at that,
You should have also received an email from your computer science advisor last week. And I know that as an advisor, we really welcome emails from our students with any questions that you have about classes and enrollment and things like that. So just making sure that if you are expecting credit from any classes, that you are checking in with your advisor and making sure that you are understanding what that enrollment worksheet looks like for computer science.
Great. So the next question we have is, are there different degrees similar to the advanced and standard diplomas in high school? So the degrees are similar as far as credit requirements, but certainly different majors have different degrees. We have Bachelor of Arts, Bachelor of Science, Bachelor of Business Administration, Bachelor of Science Nursing, Bachelor of Social Work, Bachelor of Fine Arts, and Bachelors of Music. So depending on what major you choose, that will determine what degrees will be offered for you to complete at James Madison University. Most majors only offer one degree, but several majors at JMU will offer 2 degrees, potentially a Bachelor of Arts or a Bachelor of Science. And there are a few degrees that offer either a Bachelor of Arts or Bachelor of Science, or in addition, a Bachelor's of Business Administration, or potentially even a BFA, a Bachelor of Fine Arts. All right, so it looks like we have a question here for Aaron. Is it possible to load a schedule in the shopping cart prior to the start time of enrollment?
Yeah, you can absolutely load a course schedule into your shopping cart. Know that those seats could fill, so just be aware of that. If they fill, they remain in your shopping cart, but they will show closed. So we have little symbols beside each class. We have a green circle for open, a blue square for closed, and a yellow triangle for waitlisted. So you'll just want to watch those symbols, or as you go through the enrollment process, it'll tell you that you didn't get the seat because it was full.
Okay. Thank you, Aaron. So it looks like we have a Res Life related question. Are freshmen able to pick dorms, or is it a random selection process? Sarah?
Yeah, so first year students, when you submit your housing contract, you'll notice that there's no preferences because we do randomize our housing for first years. Now, if students did apply to a learning community and were accepted, then those learning communities will live together and in specific residence halls. And there's information in the one book about that, but all other housing is random, and all students will find out about their housing assignment on August 1st. And so you'll go back into your one book and check that out, and there'll be information about your housing assignment, as well as who your roommate is and other information about the move-in process.
Okay, thank you. So we have a question about foreign language. Will entering into a new language rather than continuing the one we learned in high school put us at a disadvantage? Chandra, did you want to take that one?
Sure. So one of the things to know is that not every major at JMU requires that you take a foreign language. So the students that would do a foreign language would be people doing one of the Bachelor of Arts degrees, or some majors including international business, or if you did a foreign language minor. But when you are looking at completing foreign language requirements, if you take a language that you have already taken in high school, then that would be reflected when you do the foreign language placement test. You would place a little bit beyond someone who has never had that language before. So basically, if you want to continue with the language that you've had in high school, then that puts you at somewhat of an advantage because you are able to move forward and maybe start at the intermediate level rather than starting at the basic level for that language. But it's all based on each person's individual preference too. Some people really want to learn a new language, and that's fine as well, as long as you know the implications for how that might take a little bit longer if you start from the beginning compared to maybe placing into that intermediate level.
Thank you, Chandra. So we have another enrollment question. Will registering for higher level classes as a freshman allow us to earn a degree that makes us more competitive when applying to grad school? I'll take this one. Since I mentioned earlier, all degrees are essentially the same level. Registering for upper division classes as a freshman isn't necessarily encouraged unless you have some dual enrollment AP credits. that maybe put you a little bit ahead of where maybe your classmates are. I mean, certainly we want you to challenge yourself during your first year, but there are certain classes, depending on what major you're interested in, that are more appropriate for first-year students than a junior or senior level student. So I like your enthusiasm that you're interested in taking higher level classes as a first-year student, but we'd probably want to wait at least until second semester before we jump into any higher level classes. And certainly, if you have additional clarifying questions, you can talk with your advisor either before you arrive at Springboard or when you meet with them the afternoon of your orientation date. Let's see here. So we have another question about the enrollment shopping cart. If we have a class in our shopping cart and it gets filled before we check out, will the class automatically be removed from our shopping cart? Aaron, you want to field that one?
Sure, the course will not be removed automatically from your shopping cart, but that's where we talked about the different symbols that are beside the courses, so you'll be able to see if they're open, closed, or waitlisted.
Great, thank you. Should we go through the enrollment process and schedule planner before our enrollment appointment opens, or do we need to wait until our enrollment appointment to do that? Aaron, you want to try that one?
Sure. So it's good practice to go ahead and start building your schedule now. Since we have open seats, you will have a good view of the classes that are going to be open for your enrollment appointment. So go ahead and build a potential schedule, but know that you may want to build a couple different schedules for backup schedules as well. I know when I was a student here, I usually had 3 or 4 schedules in line ready for when my enrollment appointment came, because everyone's fighting for the same courses or, the same group of courses. So just be prepared for that and have a couple different schedules lined out.
Okay. So our next question we have is related to general education. Why can you see only certain gen ed classes on your enrollment worksheet? I can field this one. Depending on your major, certain classes will be required for certain majors. So the department has chosen to make sure that you're aware that they're suggesting that you strongly take that class during your first semester. So if you're, for example, if you're in a business major, all of our business majors will have to take economics, at least at some point, maybe the first year, maybe the second year, as they enroll in the College of Business. So economics is a gen ed course. And so it also counts for the College of Business requirements as well. So the College of Business will want you to take that economics course, and therefore they might not list the other courses in that area to select from, just so you don't take 2 classes in the same area when the economics clearly would have counted for that one section. And some classes are restricted to certain majors. This happens a lot in our science and math courses. So if you're pursuing a certain major that doesn't require a specific science course, you won't be allowed to register in certain classes. Like, for example, Chemistry 120 is restricted to nursing majors, for example. So if you're a history or English major, you wouldn't be able to take Chemistry 120 this year as a first-year student. So those majors will more than likely not list that class on your enrollment worksheet. Okay. So let's go to the next question here. Is Writing 103 a class, a critical thinking class that you can take at the same time, or do you have to take them separately? Amy, you want to field that one?
So sure. So with the cluster 1 classes, we allow students to enroll for one of them initially. And so it is a cluster 1. Both of them are cluster 1 classes. So you can take either the critical thinking or the human communication. And then if there are seats left after orientation, then you can enroll in the Writing 103 as well.
Okay, so let's go to this question from a bio major. I read on the bio major for Bachelor of Science that I can enroll in either math or chem if my MPE score allows, my math placement exam, but it says to not enroll in both. Does that mean if my math placement exam score is high enough, I can enroll in both? Chandra, do you want to try this one?
Sure. I think this is a great example of a question where the major enrollment worksheets are helping guide what would be best for your schedule, but sometimes you'll need a little bit of clarification. So for this question specifically, I would actually defer to working with your advisor, just because it can be so different for each major that it's really important to make sure that you're interpreting the major enrollment worksheet correctly. In general, if a major enrollment worksheet is telling you not to take a math and a science together, in some cases they'll say that no matter what, but that's based on information that they've collected about how first-year students historically have done when they combine math and science courses in their first semester. So I guess I would say for this one, just make sure that you are communicating this question with your advisor. And that depending on your math placement score, sometimes the enrollment worksheet is going to tell you to do one thing and a fellow incoming JMU first year student to do something else, because those math placement scores can also indicate a level of success that you might have.
Thank you. So I have another enrollment question. What happens if you type in a class number into your shopping cart and it says no classes found? I'm planning on majoring in psychology and I was trying to enroll in Psych 101 and it wouldn't let me. Erin?
Sure. So we had seats hidden until today. So if you've done any class searches prior to today, you probably would have seen that there were no classes available. The other thing that I want to tell you about is there's a little checkbox under the submit button or the search button that says show open classes only. If you uncheck that box because it's defaulted to be checked, then you'll see closed and waitlisted classes as well. So get used to unchecking that box so that you can see all seats or all sections available, whether they're open or not.
All right, thank you. Here's a question, looks like for Sarah. When will we find out our specific agenda for Springboard orientation?
Yeah, good question. So the specific agenda actually will be received when you check in the morning. There's a rough outline on our website under First Year Summer Springboard, but you do need to plan to be on campus from about 7:30 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. We have a full day of programs. And as I said previously, you'll get a chance to meet with your orientation peer advisor, you'll meet your academic advisor, you'll also meet with your academic college, and then you'll have a chance to eat in our dining hall and learn about expectations and community behaviors that make the JMU community a successful one. So it'll be a mixture of academics and connecting with orientation leaders as well as your peers and learning about expectations, but you'll officially get your schedule when you arrive to check in Summer Springboard on your assigned Summer Springboard day.
Thank you, Sarah. So we have a question from a student. What if you plan on double majoring? What would your first year classes look like? I could take this one. Well, unfortunately, right now, you can just declare one major, but you can talk with your advisor when you arrive for Springboard, and even before then, if you want to reach out to them through email about what you're thinking about as your second major. Certainly, they can guide you and give you information on adding classes to your schedule that would help you with that second major. And depending on what that second major is, you may or may not need to take classes in that second major your first semester. Some of our majors aren't as large as others. They have less requirements. So even if you start taking a class for your second major in the spring of your first year, you really won't be falling behind. And depending on what majors you're combining, some of the requirements may overlap. Certainly, the general education classes will be required for any major. So you won't have to do any extra classes in that area. So I have another question here from Michelle. I'm an undecided major. What math should I be taking? Amy, did you want to try that one?
Sure. So as an undecided student, it's really important to talk to your advisor about what different majors you're considering, or to let them know that you are completely undecided and you're still really exploring different options. The reason for that is every major on campus requires different math, And that is inclusive of different, whether you're pursuing a Bachelor of Arts or a Bachelor of Science. And those could also require different math between the same major. And so letting them know early about what majors you're considering could really influence what math you could be taking. So as Chris mentioned earlier, it's very possible that you won't be taking a math your first semester. So a lot of factors go into that decision. It goes into your placement scores, goes into different majors you're considering, and it also just goes into what transfer credit, whether that be AP, dual enrollment, IB, things like that you have. So my recommendation is really talk to your advisor about those interests, and they can really help guide you toward the correct class. Because you don't want to be taking the wrong class during your first semester and then have to take additional coursework later on.
Thank you. So I have a question about computer science major has put 2 CS classes in his shopping cart last night, but they're both waitlisted. Will some of these spots open up? Chandra?
Sure. I think one thing to know about waitlists is that, as Aaron said, there have been some classes that have been closed but are going to be opening up as orientation and the summer goes on. But just in terms of how waitlists work in general, during summer springboard orientation, what's happening is that there are some wonderful folks working behind the scenes trying to get you into those waitlisted classes. However, one thing to be aware of is that if you are on a wait list, it might mean that the rest of your schedule could change a little bit. If that person working behind the scenes needs to, for example, change the time of day of another gen ed class that you have on your schedule. So in general, one piece of advice that I share with my advisees is, if you can, to try and enroll in the classes that are open rather than the ones that only have a wait list. But if it's something like for your major, the student was interested in computer science, for example, then that would be a great situation to use the wait list, because you're really trying to get into a class that's recommended for your major in that first semester. There's also a really great track record of those folks working behind the scenes to get you into those waitlisted courses. But just know that it's going to put your schedule in limbo for a little while, as there are people kind of working through those changes and trying to get you into that section.
I do want to make a quick clarification. So Chandra was talking about the waitlist for our summer enrollment process. If you've been talking to anybody that you know that has gone through enrollment at JMU previously, and maybe this is the case for you, we've looked and saw that that CS class is only on the wait list. It could be that additional open seats are going to be open, with Aaron opening up those seats later, or I guess earlier today. But also just understand that waitlists work differently during enrollment during the school year. And so as Chandra was giving you great advice about how waitlists work during the summer, so just be aware that that will change during the school year.
Great, thanks. So we have a question here from Sabrina. Do you recommend that we sign up for extra classes in case one of our other choices fills up? And if so, how many extras should we include? That's a good question. There are some limits for enrollment during the summer. All students are limited to a maximum of 17 credits during the summer for the first semester. If you're looking to add any extra courses, you'll find it probably hard to do because of that limit. So what you'll be shooting for is at least 5 classes, and depending on labs and how many credits each of those classes are, you'll probably end up with about 15 to 16 credits for the fall semesters, which is what most students are shooting for, right around that number, around 14, 15, or 16 credits. Okay, let's go to our next question here. Let's see. If we're waiting for IB credit for a class in our major, such as CS 139, should we put the next class, CS 149, off our cart if our predicted scores are high? Amy, do you want to try that one?
Sure. So unfortunately, until your credit has been received and processed at JMU, you actually cannot enroll in the next class above that. There might be an exception or two based on placement test. Math would be an example of that. If you scored higher on your placement test, then your AP credit would be leaning towards. But for computer science in particular, you would need to wait for that IB class to be processed. Again, I would certainly encourage you to let your computer science advisor know that you are anticipating that transfer credit and that you are anticipating a high score as well. And they'll let you know how to adjust your schedule accordingly. But I'm, worst case scenario planner in some cases. And so I like to help my students plan for both scenarios. So if your transfer credit for the IB doesn't come through, this is the schedule, and this is actually what you can get in right now. Go ahead and grab that seat. And then if it comes through, and hopefully it will, this is what class you'll switch into later.
So we had a question about learning communities. A student wanted to know when those decisions will be going out. Some of those are still being decided. So students will roll in the class for the learning community if you've been contacted already, but they're still working through some of the decisions like I mentioned before. So students should be notified through their JMU email account, so keep an eye on that. And your advisor or the advisor for the learning community will send you information on which specific class you need to sign up for the learning community experience. So I have a question here. I'm also a pre-med student. Do I take Chem 131L and Chem 131 and Math 235, or do I choose between Chem or Math? Chandra, do you want to try that one?
Sure. So in this, I'm going to sound like a broken record, but unfortunately, I think the best answer is to refer to the enrollment worksheet. In the first semester modules website, what we're talking about is a website called, it's jmu.edu/1st-semester. So jmu.edu/first semester. There are worksheets for majors. There are also worksheets for pre-professional health programs. So here for pre-med, what we need to do is refer to the module, it's module 4, where you're preparing for enrollment. And there's a sheet on pre-med that's going to tell you exactly what to take in that scenario. There are also a lot of students who are considering multiple pre-health programs. So you might be considering pre-PT and pre-med. And so in that case, that's where you need to use that module 4 to compare which chemistry or which biology classes or math classes should you take early on. And the way that that information has been gathered is that JMU is in contact with a lot of those different types of health graduate programs to compile those lists. And so that's going to be the best thing to follow to make you a competitive candidate.
Thank you. So the next question is from Rachel. So I'm a high school senior coming in with an associate's degree and for JMU, and I only need a couple of gen eds to finish up. Will I be penalized for that? Well, I wouldn't necessarily say penalized. I mean, you've worked really hard, Rachel, to get ahead and complete your degree, and I definitely commend you for that. Depending on the major that you're enrolling in, you definitely want to reach out to your advisor and make them aware that you have a large number of credits, already have your associate's degree. You might need some assistance figuring out what you're going to do for your first semester and beyond. A lot of students who complete their associate degrees have a little bit more freedom to do some upper division classes earlier than maybe some of their classmates have. You also want to think potentially about maybe some minors that you'd be interested in, and certainly I would encourage you to reach out to your advisor to have that discussion before you come to Springboard. And certainly you'll have time too as well in the afternoon when you meet with your advisor when you're here on campus to talk about what those options are. Just
one thing to add to that as well, if you're an undeclared student coming in with an associate's degree, then this might also be something where it might be good to kind of even more strongly consider majors that you're thinking about, because if you have an associate's degree that waives your general education requirements, which some associates do and some don't, then we might need to be thinking about majors or minors a little bit sooner, just in terms of what else we could look at for your fall semester schedule.
So we have a question from Paulina. I'm in honors college and a biology major. What other classes other than Bio 140H and Honor 100 are a requirement to take for the honors college? Amy, did you want to try that one?
Sure. So I'm just going to reemphasize the enrollment worksheets that, we've been talking a little bit about. Take a look at them for biology. And then for the honors, you should have been in communication, hopefully, about the honors program when you got accepted. A lot of classes can be taken as honors. I know like SCOM can be taken honors as well. And then there's that honors 100 class as well. So just make sure that you're in communication with the program coordinator for the honors program if you have any difficulties getting into those classes. Chandra, did you want to add something?
Sure. I had a student who called the other day who was going to be in the honors program and trying to figure out how to use the enrollment worksheets along with understanding the honors requirements. And the honors program, I saw this on their website, which is jmu.edu/honors. They have made a list of all of the general education courses for fall 2019 that they're going to offer the honors options with those courses. So that can be a great worksheet, whether you want to print it out or just have that in another tab of your browser to use with your enrollment worksheets.
Thank you, Chandra. Looks like we have a question for Aaron regarding enrollment. From Stephanie, we have one schedule ready to go. Would the backup schedule go in the cart too? If not, where do we park it for easy access?
Yeah, so I think I didn't mean to cause concern when I talked about making several different varieties of a schedule, but I always want students to be prepared because it reduces the frustration at the time of enrollment. And so, talking through when I was a student here, I would just write down that 5-digit course number that's on each course. So when you search for a class, you'll put in Psych 101, and then each section has a unique 5-digit code. So if you write that unique 5-digit code down on a piece of paper, you're able to keep the backup courses in case one's full. And so that's what I just suggest doing, is to keep that information handy. So when you're going through the enrollment process, if one of the classes that you needed was full, you're able to, adjust your schedule accordingly. That's not needed all the time, but when you have lots of students getting in the into the enrollment center at one time, there is sometimes that your class that you want will be taken. And so just having that backup will reduce the frustration during that period of time.
Okay. Thank you. All right. Okay. Let's see if we have another one here. This question comes from Raymond. I have enough college credit and AP credit to complete my degree in 2.5 years of a full-time schedule, even though I have applied as a first year. I need a course that requires junior or senior standing. How would I take those courses without junior or senior standing, or is it different by completed credits? Well, certainly, Raymond, I applaud you for working ahead and working so hard in high school to earn those credits. If you're bringing that many credits into JMU, you want to work with your advisor to make a plan on how you may want to get into some of those upper division courses. Certainly, I would reach out to your advisor before Springboard and potentially before you enroll this week to kind of get an idea of what you might need or what might be appropriate for you in the first fall semester. And also, too, if you need assistance when you meet with your advisor at Springboard in the afternoon, you'll be able to talk with him or her one-on-one about what options you might have for the fall semester, considering you're potentially ahead a few semesters. All right, here's a question from Aaron. On average, how quickly do classes fill up once our enrollment appointment opens up?
It really depends on the class, and it also depends on how many students are in at one time. If we have an 8:30 enrollment appointment, we may have less students than if we had a 10:30 or 11 o'clock enrollment appointment. So we know that our students get up at certain times or are more active in the system at certain times. But courses do fill up. So it's not something that we want you to wait on. We want you to get in as soon as you can after your enrollment appointment starts and start the enrollment process.
So a student had a question about WRTC 103, which is an entry-level college writing course, asking if they can take that in their first semester. Certainly you can. There is a restriction on cluster 1 classes for the fall semester. Students will only be allowed to take a critical thinking or a human communications course during enrollment and through Springboard. So certainly you could add a critical thinking and a writing class, or the human communication and a writing class for your first semester. If you have AP credit for writing or dual enrollment credit for writing, you'll be able to waive that course and more than likely just take the critical thinking or human communication course in the fall. Let's see, here's a question about calculus. If I've passed calculus with dual enrollment but placed in Math 105, can it override that in order to do Math 220, which is required for my major? Let's see, Chandra, you want to try this one?
Sure. So when you take the JMU Math Placement Test, it's going to give you 2 scores. You'll receive a calculus score and a statistics score. Some majors require calc, some majors require stats, some majors don't have a preference at all about the math that you would take. But it's important to know that you're going to receive those 2 scores because this student in particular mentioned that they need Math 220 for their major. Math 220 is our elementary statistics course. This student is saying that they placed into Math 105, which is a level below Math 220. And they're also adding that they passed calculus with their dual enrollment. So it's wonderful that you were able to pass calculus with the dual enrollment, but that's going to be on a separate track than Math 105. This isn't the name of the course, but it's kind of a pre-statistics course. And so if you placed into Math 105, then we need to go with that math placement score. And Math 105 would be the course you would enroll in and then be able to take Math 220 in the following semester. Now, the math department is also really wonderful about working with you. If you feel like that placement score was not correct and you're within 2 points of the cutoff for something, you can always retake that test closer to when you come in August. But for many students, it's probably best just to go with that score that you had because that's reflective of where you are right now in terms of what's going to be the most comfortable place to come in and start your math courses.
So, let's see. All right. Here's a question for Aaron. What department do we send a transcript showing dual enrollment or AP classes?
Yeah, you're going to want to send your AP scores through from college, from the testing center straight to the admissions office. And for transcripts, you want to send your transcripts to the admissions office as well.
So here's another question from Eric. When selecting classes from the first semester enrollment worksheet, how will I know how many credits I have after selecting classes? Aaron, you want to try that one?
Sure. So when you enroll in classes, it tells you how many credits there are. So you'll see like Psych 101, it'll say 3 credits. And so as you're enrolling into classes, it tells you the number of credits. And so you'll be able to see there, that's 3 credits, there's 6 credits. Most of our classes are 3 credit courses, but there are some sciences and some maths that are 4 credits. And then we also have some 1 credit courses. So just look at the number of credits when you are looking at the courses when you go to select them, and then add those up as you go. And again, you can enroll in 17 credits at this time. During open enrollment that starts August 1st, you'll be able to go up to 19 credits.
Great, thank you. All right. This question from Jennifer. Since getting into classes is so competitive, should we find 2 or 3 classes and finalize the process for those and then go back in and find other classes to complete the schedule? Aaron, it sounds like maybe you're interested in this one.
Yeah, that's a great choice. When you have some competitive classes, it is much quicker to go through the enrollment process through My Madison. So we talk about the differences in My Madison and Schedule Planner. Schedule Planner is really a planning tool, and you'll use that before your enrollment appointment. But when you get into the enrollment process, My Madison allows you to select a class very quickly and go through the enrollment process. And so if you have competitive classes, go ahead and put those couple competitive classes in and go through the enrollment process first, and then move on from there.
All right, so this is generating a lot of great conversation too in the comments as people have a lot of questions about how to build their schedule. So My Madison is going to be, this is a new technology that you're learning how to use. There are some great My Madison tutorials that are linked from that first semester modules website. And so as you're learning how to use My Madison for the first time, just know that everyone's learning this together. So when we talk about planning out schedules, there are different ways that you can do this. You can use a tool like Schedule Planner. And when I explain this to my advisees, I liken it to when you go on TripAdvisor or a travel website and you're combining different flights and you're trying to figure out what's my best combination. That's kind of what Schedule Planner is like, where you can type in 5 courses that you're looking for, and it can tell you different combinations of schedules that can work with our locations across campus and breaks, like Aaron mentioned. You can also build your schedule one class at a time, where you're looking for maybe a certain math class that you need for your major, but maybe you're flexible about taking anything in Cluster 2 literature, for example. And so Schedule Planner and Class Search are 2 different ways within My Madison that you can build a schedule. As you're in these planning stages, though, it's okay just to go low tech with this and use paper and pencil and kind of be looking at some different options, whatever makes that most sense for you and your personality, the way that you'd like to go about doing this. I think early on, you're also not going to know which classes are those ones that are competitive and that fill up quickly and which ones aren't. It's also something that literally changes by the minute, where one class might have been full when you searched yesterday, but then the next day when you go to log in, there are openings because someone else dropped that class. So don't feel so rushed in the beginning that you're just overwhelmed by the process. Know that people will continue to change their schedules, and that means that you can change your schedule over time. Over the summer, My Madison is going to remain open to you for a long time. And just know that your advisor can also walk you through any of this. All advisors have hours that they've sent to you by email this week, where they can help walk you through that process by email or by phone if you need help this week too.
All right, I have a question from Michelle. As a first year, what math should be taken for a political science major? Well, depending on your math placement exam score, Michelle, more than likely you'll be leaning towards statistics at some point, but not in your first semester, because most of the statistics classes are reserved for certain majors. So potentially you could take stats in your second semester, and you want to talk to your first year advisor about that when you arrive for Springboard. So we have another question. Should we have extra classes and have the advisor just knock them? If I'm sure if my dorm room knocks off all the gen ed courses. Oh, I see. So question about if you have extra classes and you're not sure about your dual enrollment and what they count as. I mean, you want to make sure that you get in your transcript to JMU as soon as possible, so we can post those credits on your record, and your advisor can know exactly what classes will count that you're transferring in and where, and give you the right information on what courses you can wait on and take for the fall semester if you already have previous credit. We have a couple more questions here. In your enrollment modules, as you're going to register for classes, there's some helpful information in module number 4, kind of pointing out information on how you can get there on time. We have a map on that enrollment module that will show you different buildings depending on where your class is located, and tell you where you can make that class within 15 minutes. Now, this only usually comes into play when you have back-to-back classes. So certainly if a class ends at 8:50 and then your next class starts at 9:50, you want to be fairly aware of where those two buildings are located. However, if your class ends at 8:50 and your next class is, say, at 10:15, certainly you have more than enough time to go from building to building. Certainly you want to make sure that anytime you have classes that only have 15 minutes in between, you want to make sure that you have enough time to get from building to building. And certainly your advisor would be a good source of information for that as well. Okay. So it looks like another enrollment question here. How do I move from my planner into my cart and then enroll in those classes? Do we hit checkout from the cart? Aaron, do you want to try that one?
Yeah, so when you're in your schedule planner and you're creating the different schedules, right above where all your schedule options are, there's a link that says import schedule to cart. You'll have to select what schedule you want to import to your cart, and then it's a two-step process from there. If you have questions, though, there is a tutorial on the modules that you're able to watch, and so go ahead and watch that real quick, and so you'll have the exact directions on how to get it into your shopping cart. And then from your shopping cart, you just proceed through the process. When you're in your shopping cart and you're going to check out, I'll call it, you check what courses you want to enroll in. And so if you have several courses in there, maybe you put 2 different Psychology 101s in there because you weren't sure which one's going to be open, then you check the courses that you want to enroll in and proceed to step 2 of 3 and then finish enrolling.
Okay, I have a question from Michelle. Is there a credit limit for the first semester?
So I can answer that, Chris.
Mhm.
I think we've been talking about the 17 credit hour limit during summer springboard, and then it moves to 19. I do want to say that you don't necessarily have to take 17 or 19 credit hours during your first semester. We recommend that our students take anywhere from 14 to 17 credit hours their first semester. And that's really a discussion that you should have with your advisor and any stakeholders in your education. It is important to know that some students do have to take those 18 to 19 credit hours depending on maybe they're in the marching band or they're an honor student and they have those additional credit hours that make it to be over that 17 credit hour, and that's fine. But just make sure that you are taking a look at what you're taking on your first semester and you are being mindful of all those things.
Okay, it looks like we have time for one more question. Will my official schedule be determined during springboard when I meet with my advisor or on my Madison? In other words, is the process completely online or is it some of it in person? Well, that's a good question. Certainly, you'll be enrolling online in a couple of days using the enrollment worksheets to choose classes. Now, if you're finding you have questions about that, or if you want to reach out to your advisor to make sure that you've chosen the right schedule for your fall semester based on your major and your test scores, you can certainly do that. Now, if at any time between when you enroll and when you arrive for springboard, you're second guessing or thinking about maybe a minor or a second major, certainly those would be excellent questions to ask your advisor. And you can still, like we've said before, adjust your schedule either before or after springboard or even during the day at springboard. Sometimes students will have time to do that with their advisor when they meet with them in the afternoon. But certainly if you change your mind at any time or have additional questions, please reach out to your advisor so you can get the right advice quickly. All right, looks like we've backed up right into time. I'm going to go ahead and ask everybody, starting with Sarah, if they can just say goodbye or finish with any closing remarks or advice they might have, and then we'll tie it off. So Sarah, you want to start off?
Okay, yeah. So we, like I said, are very excited to welcome you to Springboard into the JMU community. Please do not hesitate to contact the orientation office if you have any questions. There's a variety of ways to get in contact with us through our orientation email account at orientation@jmu.edu by calling 540-568-1787 or sending a message through the OneBook website. And we can't wait to meet you at our summer springboard programs.
Aaron?
Well, I want to thank everyone for joining us this evening, and best of luck with creating those schedules over the next couple days. It's fun, exciting time, and just know that we're here to help you and we're here to support you. So anytime you need assistance, please feel free to reach out. We enjoy helping you through this process. So we know that we've given you a lot of resources and a lot of tools to use, but know that we're here as resources as well.
Yeah, we're just so happy that y'all are coming to JMU. JMU is really a friendly, wonderful place that we've made home, and we're so excited to welcome you all to this new home away from home as well. So if you have questions, every question is a good question. Lean on your advisor. They're happy to help you with anything that you're not sure how to navigate.
Yep. I'm just going to echo exactly what Chandra said. Make sure that you ask your advisor any questions that you have, and we look forward to seeing you at Summer Springboard. And as you go through enrollment in the next few days, if you aren't getting the class that you want right away, like Chandra said, be patient, take a deep breath. There's a huge probability that if you don't get into the class that you're interested in right away, that you'll get into that class before the semester starts. And just remember that you'll have an opportunity to keep adjusting your schedule all the way up until the first week of classes. So don't hesitate to ask your advisor if you have any questions.
All right, again, I want to thank all of our participants for their assistance in this webinar. I want to point out a couple other things. If you have any questions or we weren't able to get to us, again, I'm sorry, but I thank you for all these excellent questions you've had so far. You can reach out to us by emailing us at firstyearadvising@jmu.edu, or reach out to us by phone by 540-568-6555. And remember, please check your JMU email. That's your official communication that we use from your advisor, from your professors. Any official correspondence will come through that. Make sure that you're starting to do that now. Get into a habit of checking that almost every day. Certainly, you'll receive a lot of pertinent messages related to your summer springboard information from your advisor, but certainly as we move into the fall and spring semester, you'll be using that a lot. So it's very important. This webinar will be available on the CAP YouTube website. You can search for that. And again, please don't hesitate to reach out to us if you have any questions in the future about your academic or career decisions. Again, my name is Chris Campbell, Assistant Director here for first year programs at JMU, and we look forward to seeing you in June and July when you come for Springboard.